Hey everyone, Rob from Southgate Media Group here. Before we get started with this podcast, we have a quick message. If this is your first time checking out the show, we love that you found us and we really hope you enjoy it. What we have to say is for the subscribers. If you enjoy our shows, would you please donate to help keep these going? We don't want to have to put traditional ads on these shows, but this does cost money. So we really do rely heavily on donations. To make a donation to the show, please go to our website, www.southgatemediagroup.com. Go to the page for the show, and in the upper right-hand corner is a donate button. It takes you right to PayPal, and you can donate whatever amount you want. Thanks a lot for listening, everybody. And now, on with the show.
Hey Flash family, this is John Wesley Shipp, Henry Allen on the CW's Flash, and you're listening to Kelly and Lilith on Southgate Media's Flashpoint Podcast.
Hey Flash family, welcome to Southgate Media's The Flashpoint Podcast, a podcast dedicated to the hit CW show The Flash, starring Grant Gustin and Jesse L. Martin. I am one of your hosts, Lilith, and as always, my lovely co-host is right here.
Hey, it's Kelly.
So, up for discussion today is episode 105, Kabooey? No, Plastique.
To make it go boom.
So I found myself really liking this episode. Once again, big surprise, I know.
I liked it, but I had some issues.
It's okay. Episode can be great and still have issues. So, I guess we'll just jump right in, if you don't mind hitting them with the synopsis information.
Sure, a new metahuman appears in Central City with the ability to turn anything she touches into an explosive. Well, almost everything. Barry is able to discover that the metahuman, Bet Sansuchi, is a former military explosives expert who has changed by the particle accelerator when it bonded bomb shrapnel to her body on a cellular level.
Say that 3 times fast.
Let's not. That's a tongue twister. As General Wade Eiling hunts for Bet, Barry brings her to Star Labs, where the team explains to her how she got her powers. Unfortunately, they cannot reverse the process. While the team's away, Dr. Wells convinces Bet to kill Eiling so that he cannot exploit any metahumans. Barry races off to stop her, but Bet sets off several bombs around Eiling and his men. Eiling manages to shoot Bet, which causes her body to turn into a massive bomb. Barry speeds off with Bet's body and drops it in the river to save the city from the explosion. General Eiling visits Dr. Wells, demanding that they work together, as they did in the past, to collect the metahumans. Dr. Wells refuses and warns Eiling to never return to Star Labs. In a flashback set 5 years in the past, Dr. Wells tells Eiling he's putting an end to their experiments. After Eiling leaves, Wells walks to a cage and tells Gorilla Grodd that he has plans for him.
So our ratings this week, I think have finally leveled off in the very safe realm, and quite honestly, most excellent round for CW at a 1.4 with about 3.5 million people watching. Let's talk about the writers. We had a three-way this week. We had Aaron Hebling and Todd Hebling along with Brooke Elkemeyer. I'm telling you, they have picked a really good writers team, and they have really built an awesome writing room, because none of the characters, I know it's only like 5 episodes, but they still have, nobody has yet to feel out of character. It just feels like every week we're getting to know each character more and more and more. Our director, Dermot Downs, guess what? I mean, you should be really familiar with this guy, since he worked on starring Robbie Amell.
Oh, the Tomorrow People.
Yep. And he also worked on the NBC crime series Chase. But yeah, so our guest stars were
Kelly Fry.
Yep, who played that Sansuchi / aka Plastique. And we also got Clancy Brown as General Wade Eiling. Now, do you know who Clancy Brown is?
He looks so familiar to me.
Well, he is an actor, but if you are a member of the DC Nation, he holds a very special place in your heart. He's a voice actor. He voiced the voice of Lex Luthor for the Superman and the animated series and a lot of the Justice League stuff.
Very cool.
The one piece of sound design that stuck out to me was Barry's investigative music. It was different this week.
Yes.
It was very muted, very subtle, and I really liked it.
Yeah, it was very, very cool. It was very cool. You know, the other big thing this week, we didn't really have really a well-defined super-powered bad guy. Well, our bad guy was the general and possibly, yeah, and possibly Dr. Wells. Those were our two bad guys. And the main protagonist of the story wasn't a bad person.
Nope. Although in the comic book, she definitely was. She's definitely a villain.
Yeah.
And I was worried because I liked the way that Kelly Fry played this role.
Mm-hmm.
She's very sympathetic, very well developed, great backstory. I mean, a woman soldier. How much does that kick butt?
Right.
And she was in the explosives division with IED, which I don't actually think technically you can currently, but hey, it's okay.
and Cisco, boy, he sure had a crush. It was so cute.
Little inappropriate, but cute.
It was.
That's Cisco in a nutshell.
Yeah. He's a geek.
Yeah.
You know?
I was really impressed with Kelly Fry, and I was like, please don't die. Please don't die. Dang it! She's dead. But it was an awesome way to go out, though.
Yes, right? Yes, it was. It was. And, you got to wonder, though.
Is she really dead? Because, exactly, heroes and villains, quote-unquote, die all the time. It is the classic comic book trope that drives a lot of people crazy, but it is a comic book trope. It's a classic, quite honestly.
That's right.
And I think that if there's enough demand for her to be back, that, they will find a way to bring her back. They always leave that kind of door open.
That's right, because he didn't see her blow up. Something blew up.
We had 3 songs.
Ooh.
Yeah, we had Rock the Ride by the Asteroids Galaxy Tour. I'm assuming this is at the bar.
Yeah, had to be.
And then Running Through My Dreams by s1e Levine. And then I Ran So Far Away by Boga.
Do we catch a theme here?
But anyway, so yeah, I'm really, they've got some interesting choice in music, but it's almost like, I don't know if you've ever watched The Wire.
No, I have not.
They use a lot of source music, which is not like an actual soundtrack. They try to make it blend into the scene, like background music. I like that a lot. It's a lot less gratuitous because they're in a bar or they're at Jitters. It makes sense, So what did you get for the theme this week? Besides things that go boom.
Well, that was it. Everything blows up. I mean...
Yeah, I got Things Fall Apart.
Yeah, everything blows up. Except for his relationship with Joe.
And I don't know, that's kind of on the verge. He's even Joe and Iris's relationship's a little stressed because of this.
Yeah. But we saw Joe laughing with Barry, and that was cool. Yeah, because his voice, that was so funny. I love that.
I think that was a real reaction.
Yeah, it was so funny.
I got yearning too. It's like Barry's still yearning to be like, he wants to tell Iris, he wants her to be a part of that world, but he doesn't want to put her in danger. He wants so much more for good metahumans that, he sees himself in, but they couldn't save that the way that he wanted her to be saved.
Yeah, and you see that longing for Iris, and he feels bad because he's never told her. But he's afraid. He's really worried about, if he does tell her how he feels, what could happen.
The villain of the week, it wasn't really Plastique or Kelly. It was definitely the General.
Yes. Doggone, he shot her.
Cold blood.
Yeah. I mean, here he says he wants to capture the asset, but obviously not.
Well, he knew she was never going to work for him at that point.
Yeah.
But she tried to blow him up.
Yeah, that's true.
Nothing says resignation quite like somebody sending you a bomb in the mail. So yeah, I definitely think it was the General. I thought that Clancy Brown just nailed it. He had that, he's the nicest guy in the world. I've met him on several occasions, but he just nailed smarmy douchebag to a T, man.
Yeah, he came off as pretty doggone evil. I mean, torturing poor defenseless animal.
Yeah. Experiments. Like, that's the thing that, they do try out experimental stuff on soldiers, like medications and stuff, and like they don't have a choice in it. They have to sign it. Because you're basically government property when you're a soldier. I don't know if people actually know that. That's basically what it is.
Well, that's G.I. Joe. I mean, that's the whole... G.I. stands for government issue.
And so So that did, like, I feel like they really did touch on an actual real issue. They do kind of do weird, strange experiments. We do kind of, once it's been declassified after 30 years, we're like, we were doing what?
Yeah.
Goats?
Yeah.
Men who stare at goats.
Yep.
That is based on a true story.
Yep.
So I like that they kind of touched on that. That's just, I don't know. But I thought that Clancy Brown did a heck of a job, and I love the chemistry he had with Tom Cavanaugh's Dr. Wells.
Yes.
Dr. Wells just has a beef with everybody.
But he wears a sharp suit.
Every woman loves a sharp dressed man.
But yeah, he does. He either has an issue or has to kill you.
I don't think that Dr. Wells is the traditional evil. I think he might be evil adjacent. Like, he's that person who thinks he's doing good in any means, by any means necessary.
Right. But
he's protecting Barry, so how mad can I really be at the man at this point until he does something bad to Barry or Iris or Cisco or Caitlin? You know what I mean?
yeah, but setting Bet up to go kill the general, if he knows the news of what's going to happen.
Well, maybe he doesn't, though, because I don't know. I didn't share this particular theory, but remember the one where I'm talking about this is the second iteration, so he can't really predict all outcomes?
Okay.
But she is a soldier. Soldiers do need orders. I mean, if they're lifers, they can't be home. Like, that's not their thing. That's not what drives them. And I think very much that Bet was like that. And I love the sheepdog analogy. It was perfect. And I definitely think that was Bet, sweet, gentle until her flock was attacked. And I really do think she's going to be back. And I don't think she's going to hold that against Dr. Wells.
I don't know. You got to wonder what she was trying to tell Barry.
I hate when they do that.
I have a feeling that, because remember, Barry went to stop her.
Yeah.
And I have a feeling that she was going to tell him that Dr. Wells
said it was okay.
Yeah, or told her to do it.
But I think that would be okay. I think that Barry would actually understand that because he is a bad guy, and you know what I mean?
Well, he is, but Barry doesn't really like to kill people.
He doesn't. He doesn't have to get his hands dirty.
Yeah, but he wouldn't want... I think he would have a moral dilemma if the people that he were working with were doing that. And
but it's kind of like the Smallville situation when they bring in Green Arrow. He does what needs to be done. You know what I mean? And yeah, it's done. And quite honestly, with the Doomsday situation, had they listened to him, just throwing that out there. Anyway, back to Central City. Oh, we didn't have any flashbacks except for the one, correct?
Right.
The end flashback. I really like that they're not tied down to these flashbacks. They're using them when they feel when it's necessary to do so. Like, Team Flash.
There were some great snarky lines this week.
I'm telling you, I like how they suck us into every episode. Like, Barry narrates the beginning and he narrates the end. And it kind of is reminiscent of those first couple of episodes of Arrow, but everybody complained about it and then they changed it. This is what they kind of had in mind. But then they were forced to bring Diggle in soon so they could end the sooner so they could end the monologue and stuff. But I honestly, if Arrow would have gone like this, where we could get inside Oliver's head, I think that this was a really big misstep in hindsight, in grand scheme of things, because we never know what Oliver's thinking. But with Barry, we always know what he's thinking.
Yes, yeah, and that's very, very helpful.
It is. I really feel like that's why I'm so much more emotionally connected to Barry, because I know what he's thinking. I know what he's feeling. And he's not afraid, well, except for in the case of Iris, he's not afraid to tell people exactly what's on his mind and ask for help, too. So, yeah, I like that they're drinking together. They're drinking buddies now. It's official.
Yes, that's true. That's true. And they were all together when they did the testing. I loved her line at the testing ground too. They've got all these things for her to throw, and one of them's a boomerang. And she says, "You really didn't think this one through, did you?"
It's Cisco, of course he didn't. Yeah, I'm really enjoying the chemistry between Team Flash. Even when Dr. Wells is around, I feel like he's trying to minimize his presence when the three of them are around. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, he kind of takes a step back.
I can't get enough of Dr. Wells.
Well, you think about it. He's an interesting guy. He always leaves you guessing, and that's what's fun about him.
Let's talk about Iris, because I enjoyed Iris this week.
Yes. Except it was painful to watch her with Eddie at the beginning. You felt bad for Barry and for Caitlin. I felt bad for Barry because he's just looking there with his puppy dog eyes. Yeah, I felt kind of bad for Barry because you could see he was looking at her with those kind of puppy dog eyes, like, ugh, you know. I want her to be happy, but
He can date if he wants. I mean, I mean, like he's 25. He needs to date around. You think you know what you want. Obviously, they're probably in game, but it's hard to say with Mark, Greg, and Andrew and Jeff at the helm. It's hard to say. We don't know what'll happen, but supposedly they're in game. So it's okay for him to play the field right now. I don't want to see him pining. He is young, and he has a lot on his plate. He needs to have some fun every now and then.
right. But I felt bad because I felt like, well, even Caitlin was goo-gooing over Eddie, you know.
Well, I agree with Cisco. The world isn't fair when guys like him are around. It's very true. They just have a way of making the camaraderie feel so natural and so real.
Well, yeah, I have a feeling that it's that way off the set, too.
Cisco, before he saw what plastic looked like, he was like, nobody blows up my toys.
That's right. Nobody blows up my suit. We're going to put her in a pod.
Oh, Cisco.
Oh, but I didn't know she was going to look like that.
So adorable and awkward, and he's the Felicity.
Yeah, and he has the best shirts.
He does. But, like, Caitlin was kind of understated this episode. Was it just me?
Well, she had her moments. She did have her moments. But yeah, she was a little quieter this week than she was last week.
Yeah. I'm just saying, like, Caitlin usually is more of the actual, like, command leader. Do you know what I'm saying?
Well, I think this week she was more the morale officer.
Yeah, yeah. She did have an important part to play, but it just feels like it was so much more muted this week. And I guess it might also because we had another female on the show who was basically, this is kind of her story too. Like, that kind of ate into the time because she actually was at Star Labs with them for a lot of it. Okay, so I guess we'll talk about, oh God, like, poor Rick Cosnick. Eddie Thawne cannot get screen time for anything. He's the guy candy. That's what he's there for.
That's exactly right.
Poor Rick Cosnick. Not that he minds. I mean, he really is enjoying his role, so I'm assuming he gets something else to do down the line because he does a lot of interviews if you read them. He has great insights into Eddie, so obviously there's more for him to do down the road. Just right now they're busy setting up everything else because he really isn't in our sphere. You know what I mean? Like, nor should he be. He's Iris's boyfriend and Joe's partner. That's like a peripheral thing, you know?
Eventually he's going to go boom too, I bet. But
I think that Eddie is just a good guy, but he's the catalyst for something else in history. And the comic book fans are like, go on, Lilith. Yes, Lilith. I think he is a very straightforward good guy, but his death, like, if he does die, that starts one of the feuds between the Thawns and the Allens. That is my thing. So, I mean, I love Rick Cosnick. I want him to be around for as long as possible, but that is a huge role if what I suspect about Eddie is true. So yeah. But Barry, oh, my baby, my baby, my baby. I just wanted to hug him.
yes. Yeah, he needed a hug a few times this week.
But man, his relationship with Joe on this show is my everything. At least until we #free Henry Allen. But yeah, it's my everything. It's most enjoyable parts most of the time in these episodes. And I really love how they have integrated and made, an older cast member so important too. Both of the older cast members, that being John Wesley Shipp and Jesse L. Martin, such pivotal roles in this series.
Yes. I love that Joe was there before Barry walked in and Joe was looking through his mom's case.
I like that we haven't dropped that plot point.
To see Joe actually laughing with Barry because it's been so serious. He's like, Barry, you gotta keep her from blogging. You gotta stop her from doing this blog, and he's trying to do his best. I feel like Barry's been so stressed. Barry's been so stressed because he's trying to stop her from doing all this, and he finds out that he's the reason that she's started doing it. But yeah, it's gonna be hard to keep her safe. It's going to be really hard to keep her safe, especially now that her name's out there.
Well, the only thing that I did have a problem with Joe, well, I guess we'll get into the little nitpicks right now. We can talk about it. Is that Iris is a grown woman. You know, she has her own agency, her own free will. Okay, yes, you're her father, but you're not. Well, she is still living with him, so never mind. But no, that's beside the point. But she is still her own person, and he can't dictate her life choices. If she wants to write a blog, she'll write a doggone blog. Nitpick.
Logically, if everything Bet touches turns into a bomb, how did the files she stole not blow up? And how did the gloves that she puts on keep her from blowing things up when they blow up? And if the Flash picks her up and carries her, how would his uniform not explode again? I'm confused.
She didn't have a good handle on it either, is what they were making it seem like, and they were trying to use that as the excuse. But that would just make it worse as far as I'm concerned.
You know, can she choose what blows up? I guess they could have been a little bit more clear.
Look at Kelly being the nitpick of the crew.
Hey, it's just, you know, if she could control it, that's one thing. You know, if she could, you know, if she had control over it but wasn't really good at controlling it, if they would have made that known more, then yeah, totally, I would have gotten it. But I really found myself scratching my head. But I'm used to, like, consistency and understanding why. Right. But, you know, that was just one thing that I did leave. It left me scratching my head after I'd watched it twice. And so I'd kind of, you know, think maybe next time they do something kind of like that, maybe they need to expand upon that just a little bit, just so people understand.
Easter eggs. What did you notice this week?
Well, of course, our lovely Gorilli at the end, I noticed, of course. The boomerang.
What's that a reference to?
Captain Boomerang. I can't think
Yeah, it
of
was
his
Captain
name,
Boomerang.
but
Good job. Just a lucky guess, huh?
yeah, Captain Boomerang. Hey, thank you. Well, I thought there was a Captain Boomerang, but I kept thinking, wait a minute, which universe is that?
Okay, any other ones? It's a really easy one. I even have a podcast named after this Easter egg. Channel 52, Kelly, come on!
Oh!
Like, the Flash has picked up the torch and run with this. Like, because you notice Arrow doesn't really do it too much anymore. Oh, and fun fact, Captain Boomerang is one of the villains that is going to be in the Arrow Flash crossover.
Ooh, awesome!
We also, Cisco referred to Plastique as the human bomb. There were actually several superheroes with that power that were just like Plastique's that they called the human bomb. Cisco mentioned that one of Plastique's contacts were Cameron Scott. That is actually Captain Atom's alias. Captain Atom has a really weird history with General Eiling because, he basically he blackmailed a guy and turned him into Captain Atom. It's a long, weird story. It's actually really cool. So if you guys are interested, you should probably Google Schmoogle Captain Atom, and maybe if you can find some online stuff, read about him. I think it's old school, but it's really easily accessible and entertaining. Oh, Plastique actually is a Firestorm villain. She appeared as a Quebec separatist. Wow. Back in the 80s, okay? Yeah. She tried to blow stuff up. And then she also went against Captain Atom, as I was saying earlier. But she premiered in The Fury of Firestorm number 7, which was forever and a day ago. She also the character has appeared on Smallville, although very extremely heavily modified. She was created by Jerry Conway. That name should be really familiar in the Easter eggs, both on Arrow and The Flash now. And Pat Broderick. So she's actually a pretty kick-butt villainess, actually. And I didn't want her to be evil, though, because it seemed like Kelly and Grant had really great chemistry. So I was like, please don't be evil. And the whole time I kept like, is she gonna die or nah? Oh, and then the two more that I have is Dr. Harold Hadley. That also reaches to the comic books. He gave Captain Atom his powers. And then also Officer Vukovich. He was in another episode. This is only his second appearance, but he's a background actor on the show now. Keep a lookout for him. I think that was really cool. He's the one that snitched on Iris, though. I'm really excited for the Groot reference, though. Like, I mean, we saw it in the pilot, and now we've seen the flashback. And obviously, primates are like the last testing phase before they allow human trials. So I'm interested to see how this goes, how they work this into the series.
And he was right there where the blast was.
Right there. It wasn't on purpose.
Yeah, exactly. That's the question.
So The Flash Season 0, issue number 5, just came out November 3rd. Digital and print, so you can totally check that out. It has a current 4-star rating right now. It will probably go up by this weekend when more people read it. And this week's summary for it is that the Flash is held by a band of circus freaks from the last issue. And the Flash attempts to contact Star Labs, but is thwarted. And we learn the origin story of the dastardly Mr. Bliss. I like Mr. Bliss. He's a really cool character. I'm interested to see the show's take on Mr. Bliss. It was written by Andrew Cuthbert and Catherine Walzak. And the pencils again are by Phil Hester. Love him. And the inks were again by Eric Gasper. So all in all, looks like a solid issue. Definitely check it out. It's only 99 cents. Episode awards. Let's see how those little nitpicks affected the grade this week for Kelly. Uh-oh. I don't hear laughing, guys.
Still enjoyed the episode. But I'm actually a B minus this week.
Whoa! A B minus? Are you serious?
Yeah.
I actually gave this episode an A. I loved it. I love that, like, they brought in a female character and she wasn't, like, sure, she got a little bit of the female glaze or whatever, gaze, but she was still really proficient. I enjoyed her backstory. I think, like, quote unquote, for this, like, she was supposed to be the villain, that they did a really good job. Not really, but you know what I'm saying? They did a really good job developing an outside character, and it was it was for one episode seemingly. So I thought they did a fantastic job with that. And they made Eileen come off very menacing, and you just instantly, as soon as he shows up at the police precinct, you know what this guy's about. He's no good. They made it very clear. Casting was perfect in both roles.
Yeah.
I like where they're going with this Barry and Iris thing. Yes, it's angsty, but it's kind of a necessity at this point. And I think it's real. Like, it feels real and natural, not forced and contrived. Everything is just, like, really falling into place for this series.
So what were your favorite lines of this week?
My favorite lines, Caitlin, oh my God, do I sound like Felicity? What about you?
My favorite one was from Joe. When the universe wants to make something happen, whether it be giving a young man lightning speed or putting two people together, has a way of figuring those things out.
I think we might have the same two favorite scenes of the night. I don't know, I have an inkling. My first one was Iris on the roof talking to the street.
Yes. Yeah, that had to happen. And then, of course, his scene with Joe.
Exactly. See, I knew it.
Yep.
I think my most memorable moment was when Plastique is floating to the water and getting ready to explode. I thought that scene was beautifully scored, beautifully filmed. They got that. You knew what emotion they were going for, and you got it.
Yeah, and you felt so bad because, Barry wanted so much to save her.
I wanted her to be saved.
Oh, yeah.
So your character of the night?
I gotta give props to Joe again.
I think my favorite characters of the night, it's a tie between Iris and Plastique. I really like that Iris kind of stood up to both Barry and her dad, and, she said, hey, this is what I'm gonna do. Deal with it. And then, come on, let's be real. Kelly Fry stole the show with Plastique. We are on Most Improved. Well, I'm gonna say that the villain's presence definitely stepped up another notch. Like, yeah, we had Captain Cold, and that was all good, but I really like this introduction of General Eiling because that expands the Flash universe without having to dip into the Arrow side of things.
I would have to give that this week to, I would say, Dr. Wells. Because we saw a little bit more of a human side to him this week. We got to see more out of him, too, and see him stand up to Eiling, and that, at least in some areas of in his life, he's not necessarily a duplicitous guy.
All right, cool. Best action?
Well, the only person we really got much action out of was Barry this week. So I would have to say Barry's the guy, and we got some out of Plastique too. And she did pretty well in that last fight scene. So probably the two of them, really.
I'm gonna give it to Barry saving the the window washer.
That was cool.
Best character interactions?
Well, Joe and Barry.
Yep. Barry and Plastique.
Yeah.
And then Caitlin, Cisco, and Barry. We can't forget that.
That's true. And Barry and Iris. I mean, even though their kind of argument was painful,
it was beautiful though.
It was beautiful. Yeah, and they're both trying to stand up for what they believe in and what they think is right, and it was beautiful but painful all at the same time.
Biggest shock or surprise of the night? That Kelly gave this episode a B-. How dare you, ma'am? Never gonna be over this, Kelly. I'm kidding.
I was gonna say that Dr. Wells has a heart. Kind of a big revelation, actually. I mean, you think about he's stabbed people. He told Plastique to go out and kill the guy. But that he has, he cared about how our gorilla was being treated. That tells you something about him.
My biggest shock of the night that I actually like Plastique. Kelly Fry had such great screen presence, and I just instantly was like, I don't want you to die, so that means you're gonna die, but you're doing a great job. I hope I feel like they left the door open and that she can come back. I just hope she doesn't come back as evil. I don't think we're at a place to have another metahuman on the team just yet anyway. But I think that if and when she does come back, she would be a great she'd be the Diggle. Tactical, strategic. We didn't have any email. I was actually a good co-host and I checked. But I do want to shout out our 2 new followers over on at the _SMG. And they were maybe there were 3. At Fantastic Geek, at Carolina Ho HOO _HOO. And then, of course, Linda Vickers, a.k.a. at Jen Bell. I love you. Thank you for coming over to this podcast. And another account that I really want you guys to check out that I really like is at TV Tag Flash. If you guys aren't on TV Tag, maybe you need to be. I know they don't give out real stickers anymore, but they're still really cool to collect virtually. And
yeah, and we totally got to give a special shout out to John Wesley Ship for helping us out for some new bumps. So that was pretty awesome.
Yeah, thank you so much. You guys are going to love them. Okay, so that brings us to our shameless plugs in self-promotion. Kelly, what do you have for us?
Well, of course, you can find me on Twitter at SuperSquint. That's SuperSquint. And you can find me there under that same name on Tumblr, Instagram, just about everywhere else. And you can read my Flash reviews at voiceoftv.com. And you can also listen to me co-host with Lilith on Queen Consolidated, of course, at SMG. And also I co-host with Tyler and Phil on Before the Bat.
As for me, you can find me on Twitter at Lilith Hellfire. Of course, I have a blog where I write about whatever the heck I want to at this point. Let's just be honest. LilithLovesTV.blogspot.com. Remember, love is spelled LUVS. And I also write for Voice of TV, but I write Arrow reviews. So every Thursday afternoon, please be sure to go over there and check it out. And also, if you have some time, please do be sure to go over to iTunes and subscribe, rate, and review us to help us move up the charts. So I think that just about does it. It'll be next Tuesday before you know it.
We'll be back in a flash.